Hello and howdy and welcome to another Angular Air. I'm your host, Alyssa Nicoll, and I am so excited for this episode and our guest of honor. But before I get to that, I'm going to thank our panelists for joining us today. We have Justin Schwartzenberger. How are you doing, Justin?
I'm doing fabulous. It's Friday, so I'm excited about that. End of the week. So
Excellent. And Mike Brocchi as our other panelist. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Happy to be here.
Excellent. And so we all put our paws together for, that's what I call my son's hands. I'm like, wash your paws, son. Put your paws together for the amazing Jessica. I am so excited. You go by the Punder Woman, I think, on all your socials. I think, like, if anybody's looking for you, I put them in the description of the YouTube, but like, I think that's your handle everywhere mostly. But welcome, yeah. Jessica. How are you? Can you actually do a quick intro for people who might be new to the community and have never gotten the chance to meet you?
Sure. Well, hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Jessica. I've been on the Angular Framework team for almost 4.5 years now. I am known for my silliness on the team and my puns. But as far as the actual work that I do, I think a lot of what I'm known for is hydration work and deferred loading work. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That is beautiful. And also, when we were scheduling this, you were so kind to like work with me on time zones and things. You're in a new time zone, right? Is that true?
Yes, I am. I just moved across the pond to Munich, Germany. So I am now in Central European time. And actually, things that I wasn't aware of, today is actually a German national holiday. So
what's the holiday?
Well, it's Easter weekend. So
yeah.
You know, a lot of European countries have, like, some of them have Good Friday off. Some of them do Easter Monday. Germany does both. So it's a 4-day weekend for me. And I didn't realize that when I was just like, oh yeah, this Friday will work.
No. All right, we are going to get you in and out, girl, on your 4-day weekend.
It's no big deal.
I studied German in like high school and college, and I'm just like fascinated with their culture. So that's really, really cool. Was like, before we get to the technical interview, I've never moved. I've done like over 10 moves in my lifetime, but never overseas. Was that okay? Was that? Was that fine?
I've done a lot of moves in my life too, and a lot of them like cross country. This is the first time I've done an international move, and it is a lot of coordination, like dealing with consulates and visa applications, and then if you want to move with fur babies, that's a challenge and a half too.
I didn't even think about that. Okay. I was just thinking about the actual logistics of like moving things from point A to point B, but you have brought up a whole other slew of, okay.
Yeah. As far as I know, my stuff is still in a warehouse somewhere on the East Coast, because when you do international moves like this, it all goes on a shipping container and comes over on a big ship. So it takes quite a while before you actually see your stuff.
I see. So that makes sense.
You know, normally I have like a really nice microphone and whatnot, and not today.
I'm actually extremely impressed with not only the audio setup, but the visuals you've got going for just completing a move and not having your things. So, and the chat is saying, Michael said, congrats on stabilizing incremental hydration in V20 and the move. So
thank you.
And congratulations on focusing and prioritizing the fur babies over microphones.
Yeah, well, I mean, technically speaking, I did also pack my wireless.
You're with it, yes. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for throw questions. If you have anything technical, maybe personal, this is not an AMA, but if she is feeling inclined, we can pull it up. I have a list of questions, one of which, because you were talking recently during your introduction about hydration and SSR and what you're known for. I just wanted to kick things off by asking, how did you end up working on hydration and server-side rendering specifically? Was it a passion project or a team need or something else entirely?
Yes. So when I joined the team, we were in the midst of the Ivy migration, and I had been hearing through some of my my friends that work in SEO. They're like, "Oh, why doesn't Angular have like real hydration?" And I'm like, "We don't." Like I wasn't even aware of it at the time, but like I had built an Angular app back in like 2016 and was doing early SSR then. And I knew the benefits at the time of like, you need this to get good SEO, especially if you want to do social sharing. So I was like, if we don't have real hydration, what do we have? And I went and looked into it. And yeah, like it was something that, like, as someone who's worked with it before, I was interested in it. And I was interested in seeing it be the real version of hydration that we're familiar with now. Because in my opinion, it was a little embarrassing that we had this kind of non-hydration, and that we weren't really competing in like that space. Not that it's really about the competition, but like if it's a need for other frameworks, it's obviously going to be a need for Angular too.
Yeah.
So it was something that I was really interested in. I pushed for early on at my time on the team, and then as that kind of started moving up in our priority list, I was able to kind of jump on that project. So. And it's been really fun to not only have that land, but then be able to like continually stair step the features that we've added to it. Like when we started working on defer, we weren't even thinking about defer as a necessarily a server-side rendering improvement, but then it ended up being the key factor for making incremental hydration work. So we just love how this kind of architecture has kind of benefited us in the early designs to where we are now. So
you were talking about they were in the midst of the Ivy switch. Did you feel any tension with like, I guess, being held up by that part, or was it?
Yeah. I mean, really, it was a huge blocker for the whole team for a long time. Like I joined the team. That was the project I started on. And it had already been going on for at least a year. And we didn't wrap it for another year. So, and like, I'm proud of the work that I did to actually get that landed. But I was kind of frustrated because I at the time, because I joined the team and I'm like, yay, I get to work on TypeScript and open source. And all I was doing was like, fancy tools to analyze dependencies and stuff that were kind of entirely outside of the actual repository. So
yeah, I feel like that's maybe a shared theme between people on your team, because of the momentum that we've seen. I feel like it was just like the floodgates were open and like they were able to start seeing progress in their particular areas, because it wasn't just SSR that like took off like a shot. And so I love to see it, but I'm also sad that there was so much frustration on the hold up.
I mean, frustration of our own doing, you know, so, but all that said, that's at least in the past now, and we do have all this momentum now, and we are getting to innovate and create and lead in certain areas, and it's fun. It's an exciting time to be working in this space and working on this team.
Absolutely. I'm really excited. I have some questions near the end to ask, just recent features or PRs or anything fun that you've worked on. But since we're talking specifically about hydration right now, is there anything that like comes to mind? Could you walk us through one of the trickiest challenges that you faced while working on hydration? Something that made you go, why is this like this? And then you cracked it. Is there any stories like that?
Maybe not so much with like the like hydration as the base version of it, dealing with incremental hydration was tricky, because when you're dealing with defer blocks, well, those dependencies haven't fetched yet. So how are you going to know what is telling your app to trigger hydration? What is telling your app that like to fetch? How does it know what it needs to fetch when it's nested, 3 levels down in dehydrated content? That was a challenge we had to sort through and figure out. And thankfully, we have a really great partnership with the Wiz team, since we're kind of doing this convergence of ideas. And we were able to use a technology that they created a long time ago to solve some of it. I know we've talked about it in like conference talks and stuff, but if you're not familiar with it, it's the event replay feature that's now in Angular. That's an implementation that we now use across both frameworks. And that library is designed specifically for things like figuring out when to trigger hydration, to queue up events, user interactions, and then replay them. And that works great for like browser events, right? Like clicks and hovers and whatnot. What about the stuff that doesn't rely on that, like viewport and timer? And so that was the next level of tricky, of trying to go, okay, well, we've solved the clicks and the hovers. Now we got to deal with the next one. How do we serialize the information in a way that we can navigate the tree, figure out what's hydrated, what's not? When do things fire? When do instructions fire? So all of the timing, and then dealing with, I think one of the trickiest bugs, which was when like having to kind of wrap some of this in like the after render types of hooks, because things would fire too soon. And so we have to deal with the timing related to your, like when dependency would be fetched, and then the defer instruction would be fired, and then the next dependency would be fetched, and then this defer instruction would fire. You'd have to know when in that sequence to actually do the final hydration part, so that it didn't fire only for half of the content that you fetched. So yeah, not an easy problem to solve, and really proud of how it works now. So
I would imagine it's also really challenging because you're trying to do all that without having us, the consumers, have to tell it to do anything extra, right? Or configure anything. So you're trying to solve that problem from an API standpoint for us, that you just do that, and we don't have to like define, oh, do it then, do it that. It makes it easy for us. So that's even more of a challenge, right?
Like wrapping the developer experience in all of our API design is a big factor in how we think about everything. And yeah, like the defer APIs were designed intentionally so that you didn't have to think about it. So you didn't have to write an intersection observer. So you didn't have to, none of that stuff. You didn't have to worry about when, the zone triggers change detection if you're using zones,
And that's a whole different level of design and problem solving, right? Like most of the time we're building stuff and we're building it because we know we're going to use it and you're going to use it in a certain way. And this is just like that next level where you're like, how do you just make it do the stuff and use it and just make it do it? Yeah, it's a whole nother level of architecture.
What's great is the inspiration for like the triggers within defer came from other earlier frameworks that I've used in the past. And maybe they were like jQuery plugins or something, where like you had your like loading and your placeholder and stuff, and I was like, I want that. We're doing that.
I have a question, because you were talking about like the timing and sequencing of things, and I know that there's a bigger motivation within the Angular ecosystem to not have a dependency on RxJS. Did you have a desire to like reach for some RxJS to determine those timings, or were you relying on other hooks to be able to determine the timing aspects of the different things that need to happen in order?
RxJS? Ew, no, I'm kidding.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I was just curious because they kind of go side by side.
In general, we try to go for no dependencies when we are writing features as best that we can. And I think the reason for that is we don't have to worry about like, we don't want to tie people into a specific dependency when we come up with a new feature. We don't want to be like, oh, you want to use defer? Well, now you're locked into RxJS, whether you chose that as your design for your application or not. Because there's reasons to use RxJS, and there are situations where you really don't want to use RxJS, or that it's not the right tool. So we would rather you make that choice rather than us make that choice for you. So yeah, typically in this case, no, we're not grabbing to like a solution that we didn't build ourselves internally for trying to solve problems like this. Yeah, except for I guess the one that the Wiz team built, but that's different. We now own that, so we maintain it, and so
you were searching for inspiration there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, with what Justin said earlier about how it's like a whole another level of like development that you're tackling, with not only involving developer experience that we touched on later in the conversation, but just with all the intricacies that you were pointing out. It was kind of overwhelming, and it made me think, like, what was your path into working on Angular itself? Did you always want to work on a framework? Did this kind of like detail work always call out to you? Like, how'd you get here?
That's a great question. So being on this team is something I never expected would happen. Hey, it's Mark. Hi, Mark. So I actually didn't start my career in engineering. I actually started my career in video and like TV production. I used to work as a producer, doing a lot of very boring paid advertisement work. You would
that sounds so exciting.
You would think, but here's the details. Do you remember a time when you could turn the television on, back when people actually watched broadcast television, on like a Sunday morning, and you would see a 30-minute broadcast of homes that were for sale in your area, and it would be like a sequence of photos with a voiceover person reading this like information about the home. You remember that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote those for 2 years. I wrote the scripts for those. I like planned out the shows and everything, and not really what I had like envisioned for what my like video career was going to be. and the reality is that not all jobs in certain areas are glamorous, and sometimes you find that you find that job that tells you maybe this isn't what you want to do. And it just so happened that the company I worked for had both a website and a video production side, and I had gotten my minor in working with tech, like very, very brief. Like they taught HTML with tables and table layouts, and I had like a single Java class. But I saw an area for optimization in my job, and I ended up like rewriting a piece of software and kind of fully automating my job. And I said, why am I not doing this as a career instead? So I switched over to engineering. And I've just kind of slowly worked my way up from a tiny little agency in Western Wisconsin to where I am now, I happen to have the luck of getting to go to Google I/O like in 2012, somewhere around there. And I was so starstruck at everybody when I went to I/O. I was just like, wow, look at all these smart people. Can you imagine working at a place like this? That's incredible. And I ended up getting connected with like the Women Tech Makers and the GDG orgs. And I went again in 2016 and I happened to see a talk by the Angular team. And I was just so impressed. And I remember thinking, man, what rock stars, and like tweeted at them at the time. And I think I ended up like getting follows back on Instagram. And then I ended up getting an interview for a job at Google, not specifically for the Angular team. And I never thought I'd get the job. And I like studied real hard and I ended up getting hired. And I ended up with a mentor who was on the Angular team. And that mentor knew that I had worked with Angular. I really liked Angular. I wanted to work on the Angular team. And when an opening was available, I was given the opportunity. So like, I still am regularly, like, I feel honored to be on this team. I feel very fortunate. And I still think, wow, I'm so lucky to have these colleagues as my colleagues now. Like I learn from them every day. And I'm so grateful to be here and part of it. Like, so yeah,
that is
probably
such
a lot
really
more.
No, that is such a really cool journey. Mark said that, yeah, the skits make a lot more sense now, right? Because of your background and just, I don't know, not only from like being on video, but producing things, like it does make a lot more sense. And then Mark also said when she pitches her wild ideas, I tend to let her go for it because I know it's something special up her sleeve. That is such a really cool story. I am still amazed though at the depth at which you can, I guess, juggle, like hold all the things seemingly and like weave them together. I'm not a good juggler, so
I mean, I can actually juggle just, only 3 items at once. I can't do more than that. I can't do more than the basics, but it is a lot. And like sometimes I look back at my career on this team and I think I am doing so many different things all at once, and it can get overwhelming, just thinking about it sometimes, because be like, oh, I've got to produce this video, which means I have to set up my whole house like a video studio, and then I've got to release this feature, I've got to put together a talk for this, and so it's a lot, but I love it. So yeah, it's fun. And it's also great when you've got a great group of people that you really enjoy working with and a great community of people that are wonderful, like yourselves, like everybody in the chat. We wouldn't be here if you guys weren't here doing stuff too. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Boys, I didn't know if you wanted to jump in with any direction on the next question. I have a few, but I just wanted to like leave some room for.
I have one on the
Mark commenting on the skits make a lot more sense now, and the wild ideas. I think there's one video out there that most people haven't seen that is a Back to the Future themes video, and where there's Marky McFly in it.
Nice.
And I'm playing like a weird Doc Brown who's already weird, but there's a whole like I licensed music for it, all sorts of stuff. Yep.
Like when you say out there, like I could find it, like
you might be able to.
Okay.
You might be able to.
That's the kind of production that you wanted to do, right? Like back in the day, this is the stuff that you're just like, oh yeah, this is my jam, right?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Putting a DeLorean on fishing line and making it fly through the air, but deliberately where you can see me doing it.
Oh my goodness. Mark says it exists. I was talent and production crew for this thing. You're making him put in the work. I like it.
I think Justin wants to go search for the video.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
mean,
gosh,
since
yeah.
we're talking DeLorean, I had to grab the Lego DeLorean, right? So, there you go. We actually saw the Back to the Future play. There's a play. I
Oh,
forget.
cool.
I don't know if it's called Back to the Future or something else, but
Yeah,
it
the
was
musical.
pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It was super
Yeah.
entertaining. I know Mike's a
Mike,
big
didn't
play
you have a
guy. He does a
question?
lot of plays.
I'm actually going. I think it's July 5th to see that show. So.
Nice.
Wait, the Back to the Future one?
Yep.
Oh, you're gonna love it. It's awesome. It's pretty cool. On the hydration stuff, I did want to ask, and I don't know, maybe this is not lining up. It's a later question, but I did want to talk about the concept of like hydration with just components. So you could maybe, server side render a component and like bring that component in, even though you may need your app to not be full, server side rendered.
So there's a couple of different concepts in hydration, and I don't know if the terms are widely used, but that's something that we kind of refer to as like islands, or like the donut hole hydration, because like you're leaving the rest of the donut dehydrated, but you're hydrating the donut hole. Or I guess you might call that something like server components. To some extent, it is something we're thinking about. Like we've thought about it for a long time. It's just complicated. And the reason that it's complicated has everything to do with dependency injection. So the fact that, I mean, there's more to it than that, but like the fact that hydration as it is right now, when we do incremental hydration, it actually has to navigate up to hydrate all the way down, has to do with the fact that we need to understand the dependencies in that tree because it's a hierarchical system. So we need to find a way, if we're going to do something like this kind of island approach or a single template getting hydrated or rendered by the server and hydrated within a dehydrated app, we have to find a way to be able to detach that from that hierarchy while also not causing some unexpected behaviors with that detached hierarchy. Because you might have, you might be expecting a singleton, and now you've got two instances of a service, and they have different data in them. How do you reconcile that when you've got two different parts of your page? Yeah, like there's a lot to it. We don't have anything like locked in on the roadmap for when we will do that, but it is something we are interested in doing. But similar to incremental hydration, it is going to be a challenge. But it's going to be pretty cool when we get there. So stay tuned, I guess.
Awesome. Yeah, because like for what we work on, we have this concept of like a identified customer journey, right? So we know who they are, so it's unique. So that really can't be server side rendered. But during that journey, there's parts of the UI, like an offer presentment or whatever, that's the same data for everyone, right? So that chunk, having that already rendered, quickly returning in terms of that render view would be awesome. So yeah, it'd be cool.
Totally can see that. When it comes to those user journeys, just don't stop believing. We'll get there.
There you go. I mean, we could live in the 80s for this entire show. I'm signed up for that for sure. So let's do it.
Oh my gosh.
Jump to one of the questions from somebody you may be familiar from the community, Jeff, who had his hand in server-side rendering as well in the Angular community. So his question is, what, in your opinion, is the ultimate initial loading experience for a web app?
Now that's a very interesting question.
Besides use the code that you wrote.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that all the time because I don't write perfect code all the time. That's for sure. I don't know. This is one that's evolved. Like if you ask this question to someone 10 years ago, you'd get a very different answer to what you get now. So the cop-out answer would be the one that makes the user the happiest. the one that gives the user the best experience. I think for me, though, I think the answer you're looking for is a seamless experience that loads very fast. So like, within like the tens of milliseconds, that even if not all of the code is there, the user is completely unaware of it. So ultimately, I think that's it. Where if they start interacting with the page, they would never be the wiser that it's doing additional fetching or prefetching anything, or they're not seeing, jank or content that is, they don't have to see a loading spinner or something like that, the seamless experience is the good experience. Oh, do we have a guest?
Yes, please.
We have a guest. Oh, we have a guest.
How is that for baby doing since the move?
He's doing pretty well. He's shedding quite a bit, playing a lot, sleeping in the couch, literally.
In the couch. That's difficult.
I'm renting a furnished apartment, and there's a flap underneath the couch that is open. So both of my kitties have been climbing into the couch. Cute little cave to sleep. I just assume I'm not getting my security deposit back.
How do they adjust to the time difference? Like, do they sense the outdoors and the light or whatever, and like roll with the timing, or?
I think it's taken them longer because when I was living on the East Coast, they would, basically crawl into bed or like play a little bit and then crawl into bed when I was in bed. And now they're playing a lot later into the evening. So, but I think they're starting to adjust now quite a bit more. So.
I assume they're going to meow in German at some point, right?
Well, probably as often as I'm speaking German, which is not very often.
Oh my goodness. All right. I have I'm going to let you pick because dealer's choice. I have some technical questions that I wanted to ask you, some personal questions, team and collaboration questions, and then also role and journey questions. So like what sings to your heart song the most? What direction would you like to take?
We've done a bunch of technical ones already. So I'm going to say spin the wheel on the rest of the categories.
Excellent. So on personal and fun, I had one that I thought was interesting. I was like, what do you have a hill that you will die on for like development, or even I phrase it as front end development, but I feel like you go beyond those bounds. But it can be funny or serious, like CSS, hydration, semicolons. We won't judge. But is there anything that you're just like
hill to die on,
or anything that makes your eye twitch whenever other developers around you do something?
I mean, there's the classic one. I'm spaces over tabs.
Did you it was like the chat comment popped in right at the same time as your mouth spoke the words, and so I'm just like,
yeah,
was this planned?
When it comes to Vim or Emacs, I'm neither. I'm VS Code.
Okay.
I am firmly of the mindset, this is the hill that I will die on. Use the tool that works for you. Do not evangelize and try to shove people into a box that, like, for me, like, I'm never going to learn Vim. Like, I'm never going to learn it. And I deeply respect people who know it in and out, but, like, never going to learn it. Yeah. To me, it's like if I wanted to learn Japanese to type German.
Oh, I love it. I think that's a beautiful, beautiful hill, and it makes a lot of sense, honestly. I am a Vim person, but my husband is a Tower user, so I mean, we make it work. It's fine.
Well, it's like learning Japanese to speak German, and then you just can't stop speaking, right? Because you don't know how to stop speaking because you don't know how to get out of Vim, right? And that's my problem.
Exactly.
I get in there, and then I'm like, Can I get my terminal back?
that-
I don't know how.
And that's appropriate with German because of all the compound long words.
Oh my
So-
God.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful language. We don't have to go there.
Long names, that too.
Oh, it's very on the nose, and I appreciated it. As far as I wanted to know about your typical day to day. I'm a developer advocate, and so I know my day to day is like wildly different from most developers, but I didn't know if like you had like a routine or like anything interesting as far as like, oh, we always have a company stand up, or like, I don't know, things like that, that like you cadence your day around, or is it different every day? Like,
It is slightly different every day, and it's changed in the past few weeks since I've relocated, because now I've shifted my schedule a number of days of the week later into the evening because I want to be able to attend meetings with my team. And so, for those days, I can wake up pretty chill and start my day slow. Like I'm not actually going into the office until like 11 because, but I'm not getting home until 8 p.m. So, but the day always starts with caffeine for me. Definitely. I'm always doing the coffee first.
what's your go-to like drink, like coffee, caffeinated beverage?
So in the US, it was always like I was doing drink trade. This video is not sponsored.
What is drink trade? Is this a thing?
So Trade Coffee is a subscription coffee service, and at the beginning of COVID, I subscribed to it, and it was the most wonderful thing. Like I never worried about not having coffee, and so I would do like your standard drip coffee, but from like a nice drip coffee machine.
I
And
feel like my Mr. Coffee just got called out.
Yep, it did, and same with the Mr. Coffee equivalent that's in this like rental. But you got to have the good grinder. You got to have the good.
I got you. Okay.
Because the grinder actually makes the most difference, and try to get those beans fresh.
Okay.
So that's my go-to. But when I am drinking, the fancy espresso drinks, especially here, I'm going for a latte, which actually is different in the US than it is here in Germany. And the first time I said, "Can I get a latte?" and they handed me a tall glass of mostly milk, I was like, "What is this?" So I've had to learn the the terms there. But yeah, I'm typically a latte girl and stick with that.
I got you. But before, was it just black coffee, or were you like creamer too?
No, creamer. But I would go for like the fancy organic, only like milk and vanilla and sugar, and none of the like chemical based stuff that you
got
get.
you. The chat was talking about, there was a bunch of funny things on the Vim versus VS Code versus, I guess, someone on our team here in the studio likes WebStorm. I'm thinking
Yes.
it's Justin.
It's not that guy. It's me.
I was muted, but I do want to weigh in on the editor thing.
Mm.
And I'm not going like one specific, but whatever tool you decide to go with to write your code, learn it and learn it well to be proficient with writing code.
Yeah.
To do whatever you can to make the process as easy and streamlined to get code from your brain into your editor.
Yeah,
Or from Stack Overflow into your editor.
I would completely agree with that. I think the argument that I've heard from a lot of Vim evangelists is like, "Oh, you're optimizing for so many different things that like I can just type like this claw shape on my keyboard and suddenly 3 blocks of code will inject and
Oh my God,
I'm
that's
done."
so accurate though. And also my printer prints off my daily, like, inspiration of the day. Like it's
and for me personally, the information is not flowing out of my brain fast enough for me to need that level of efficiency. Usually I'm like, type. Think about that. Delete half of what I typed. Retype it in a different form. So it's never like those optimizations, again, I'm glad they help other people. They don't necessarily help me.
Mm.
But yes.
Yeah. Mm.
But to continue the what's my routine? Yeah, it varies from day to day. Before I moved to Germany, I was working remote, and I would start my day pretty chill, enjoy a couple hours of coffee and YouTube before meandering over to my desk and working where I was working remotely. But the actual like day to day, it's going to vary. Like some days, like we have a daily stand up. We have the occasional team meetings and things like that. So the schedule varies from week to week, but there's a lot of time where I can focus on whatever project I'm working on when I'm not in those meetings. And obviously there's plenty of time for me to walk over to the kitchen and grab a snack.
So
I
the way you
it.
mentioned that you were working remotely, is there an office near where you've moved to that you're going to be working out of, or
Yeah.
you're going to be working from home?
Yeah, I'll be in the Munich office here.
Okay.
I wanted to ask you about what's something, if there is anything, about working on the Angular team that might surprise people. Like whether it's a specific like meeting that you have that's odd, or a spreadsheet full of RFC dreams, or I don't know. Is there anything quirky?
Quirky is a good question. I think maybe the thing that would probably surprise everyone is that we actually genuinely do all get along and like each other, which I know
Is that surprising? Because like
rare.
most dev teams don't like.
Yeah, like
Oh, okay.
that is my
Okay.
like I wouldn't say most dev teams, but like there's always some, like I've worked in a lot of teams over the course of my career, and none of them have been as easy to work with as the team I'm on now. We all seem to very frequently be on the same page, and we're all incredibly supportive of each other. Hence Mark showing up on the stream and getting in the chat. Like I didn't ask him to do that; he just did it. Like the people that you see on stage are genuinely the people we are in real life. Like the puns fly during meetings too. Like this is not just for the public's entertainment. Like literally I'll be like in the like chat stream of our video chat, like leaving pun jokes, and I'll like watch people smile around the screen. And but then people piggyback off of it, so you'll get other puns from other team members, and it's great. It's great. We have a great time.
With that, with talking to people on this podcast and other places of people who work on frameworks, my question is, do you get to work with Angular? Do you get to write web apps consuming the product that you work on? Because a lot of times that kind of doesn't happen as much as people would like.
Not as much as I would like. Yeah, that is the reality of working on a framework. That's actually something that like when I joined the team, I highlighted, and when Sarah Drasner joined, I kind of presented this idea of doing like a little multi-day conference where we actually did build apps with the framework, and not just our framework. So we could do that across many different frameworks and just see what the experience is, what we like, what we don't like, and learn from everybody's challenges and see if there's anything that we personally can like put on our to-do list from that, and also like get inspired. So we've done that a number of times now. But no, I don't get to write apps as much anymore, which makes it challenging when you go in to write documentation and you're like, wait, how does this work? for example, if you've been paying attention to the repo this past week, I've been writing a guide for if you want to migrate your code that uses animations over to regular old CSS. And as I've been writing that, I'm like, how does the syntax work? I can't even remember. So I've had to like go through and re-educate myself every time I want to like, write the guide for it.
It's literally the name of my job. But have you done it where you look up the thing you're re-educating yourself on, and then it's yourself teaching you in like a post or a video that you have had it happen multiple times where I'm like, oh no, this isn't good for the old memory.
That one hasn't happened, but I have looked at I have had the experience of like looking at the line of code and realizing it was me that wrote it. So
that is pretty amazing because you start yelling at yourself. Well, I do. I'm like, dude, this is stupid. Why'd you write it? Why is this written? Oh, I wrote it.
Yep.
And
then you start to reflect.
Now I should probably rewrite it.
You start to reflect, and then you start to think about what the nuances were at the time, and you're like,
right.
Nope, I still shouldn't have wrote it that way.
Yeah. Is there an excuse? That'd be an excuse, right?
Oh my
Times were different. I don't know.
We are approaching the top of the hour. I think we got all questions in the chat, but repost them if there was anything burning, chat, and we can surface that now. I did want to. Oh, do you have anything, Jessica, that you wanted to?
I wanted to say there is another hill I will die on.
Oh, you found one?
This is maybe a non-controversial one, but for me, it's that humor is the best learning tool. Because it's memorable. If I'm like watching a video and it is how to do X, Y, or Z, and it's very dry, it's probably going to be very helpful and informational, but it's probably going to have a harder time sticking than if I do something silly, funny, whatever. It'll stick better. I've used this as a technique for 20 years, and I think it is something I will continue to do till the end of time.
It just seems to just roll so easily for you, though. Like, I've seen you riff in the moment. We were like about to go on stage, and you were like throwing them out, and I'm like, where is this coming from? Like, I need to like if I'm very much where I'm like, let's brainstorm the funny, and you're just like flowing with it.
See, when you have a lot of trauma, you can really work.
Oh God, I love you. Your brain is beautiful, and I am so glad that you have lent it in the aid of good in our community. It's seriously, I am so thankful for you.
Well, I am thankful for all of you as well.
Boys, did you have any questions that you wanted to ask before we do a rippy wrap? Worker.
I don't.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of stuff today. It was great.
Absolutely. Is there anything, Jessica, that you wanted to highlight, whether it's about the inner workings of Angular, what you're working on right now, what you're going to be working on, anything you're really proud? I just want to make sure that you got to cover everything you wanted to.
We just stabilized the incremental hydration APIs, which is awesome. We hope that you're using that because we think it's amazing. There's likely going to be some improvements to incremental hydration along the way. As I mentioned, I'm working on that guide at the moment. You can expect an incoming RFC soon coming from me, so watch for that. I'm also going to be at a couple of European conferences this year, so if you would like to hang out, I will be at JS Heroes in Romania, and I will be at the first in-person VConf in Amsterdam, so there is potential that I will be at some others, so we'll see. But I hope to see you there if you come. Yeah, I think that's it.
Are there any
As always,
hydration stickers that you're gonna Angular hydration stickers that people can get?
I did release a hydration sticker design to the GDEs, I think, at some point. So I think
I'm
if you
feverishly
search,
looking.
if you search through for that, I think you should be able to find it. If not,
You haven't
let me
seen
know.
that yet.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I posted it in our Slack. So, but yeah, that's pretty much, I haven't done any sticker designs lately. I should do some.
Is there
I
anything
can't
you
think of-
can't do? Like, are you bad with plants? Maybe? Do you have like a no green
Yes.
thumb? Like,
I
okay,
am
cool.
bad with plants.
Sorry, I just had to level the playing field real quick because now you're good at design too. I cannot.
I like photography. I build robots. Yeah, that's the hydration sticker. I updated it with our new logo, and that design should be available for people. There should be an SVG of it out there.
What's your favorite software to like make things like that? And do you Illustrator or Adobe like Suite type stuff, or do you other?
I learned in the Adobe Suite, but I am personally trying to migrate away from all of the Adobe subscription fees. So I've been what is the I'm using the Affinity Suite right now, which is fantastic software. What I really want them to make is a really solid Lightroom replacement, so I can replace my photography workflow. You're welcome to check out my photography. I have that on my Flickr too. So.
Oh, that's awesome! I love that. All right, we'll
You
have to
can
talk
find it on my
tips.
Linktree.
Because I've started printing photography, but like at large scale, which apparently like I've recently discovered that science doesn't make technology at the scale at which I wanted to print, like without having to augment the photo itself. So I'm just like, I'm a little upset with the photography world right now. I was like, you're saying that's the maximum amount of pixels you can capture with a camera? Like, I guess like consumer grade, but we'll have to.
I mean, they make billboards, don't they? Can't you?
They
just print
do. They
billboard
do
size? I
make
don't know.
billboard. You're right. They make, but
Yeah, here's what I'll do. I'll post. Here's the Linktree.
perfect. Yes.
And that should link to my photography. I'll see if I can connect to YouTube here and post that.
Chat. Perfect. I'm gonna put actually both these
Yeah.
links in the chat. Thank you. And
I'm
Jessica,
not gonna lie, I half expected you to say that you just do SVGs by hand and like Vim or something.
excellent.
No, I
there.
do not.
All right. This is the time of the show, guest and panelists, at which we highlight something technical or non-technical that's sparkled our life a little bit this week. Is there anything, Justin, Mike, that you want to highlight from the past?
Yeah, I'll
7
pick a
days?
series. My wife and I just binge watched Silo, season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And each episode like an hour long, so that was a rough binge, but we got through it in about a week or so. But it was pretty interesting. So
I loved Silo, and I really try to like shows that I know I'm gonna like to stop watching them until it's like all out, because I just get I have a really bad memory, and I will watch, and then the 3rd season will be released, and I'll be like, what is this show? And it's difficult. So, but no, I absolutely love that one as well. I love any kind of post-apocalyptic kind of like what's going on. Mike, do you have anything, darling?
Mine's a little bit more mainstream, but I just finished watching last night the final episode of Daredevil, the new season. So very good. No spoilers, but really good show. Probably my favorite superhero show.
Awesome. I don't know. I'm still using, and it's really corny, ChatGPT to like customize my life and like work through either like mental health issues or code debugging or like all of it. And I use it so much. I've maxed out my memory, and I'm a paid user. So I'm creating a bunch of internal resources at my company of like, here's how you actually can use AI without losing your voice. Because a lot of people I've seen are passing to peer review things that were not authored by like their voice and don't have like the heart of something written by someone. So it's definitely something I'm super passionate right now about, because I think it's a tool that can be really, really powerful if you use it in the right way. So I don't know, that's still my pick for this week as I struggle.
Can I
through.
pick you to pick your article that you wrote?
Oh, yeah.
About that article is amazing.
Oh my God, you liked
Let
it?
people know about it. Oh yeah. It was so well written.
I was working on
amazing.
my gutters this week. I'm like hanging on a ladder, like fixing my gutters. And my dad calls me and he's like, I read that AI article you wrote. And my dad is not technical. And I'm like, you did? He's like, the whole thing. And I was like, the whole thing? And he goes, how do you write that many words? Like, that's a lot of words on one given topic. And I was like, it was long. But like, again, hanging on a ladder.
Such a great
like,
job. Oh yeah. I couldn't stop reading it because it was so well written and really good. And then the topic was great. So what was about using like how we can use as developers, utilize AI as an assistant for what we're doing, to not necessarily be a replacement, but
yeah. I will put the link in the description. Thank you, Justin, for highlighting it. That's very special. Right now, because we're having such a push, not only internally at my company, but just everywhere, to like, what can we use AI for? Right. I see it in my husband's a developer as well, and their teams are doing it. And I just keep seeing things that like are actually affecting my life, where I say mental health, of like, I have some heavy mental health issues, but like I've actually been able to work through like trauma and different things because I'm working with this assistant and like, I don't know, processing more clearly. And I feel like using that clarity and that processing power, whether it's for development or life or whatever, is a powerful tool. But I do see a lot of people doing it poorly, and so or just using it to write for them or to do for them. And so I think that was my main message of like we can absolutely use this to catapult us forward, but like here's some tips on how. So I'll put that in the description. Thank you, Justin, for bringing that up. But do you, Jessica darling, have any picks, anything from this week, or I guess it can go back further for you that you want to highlight?
Let's see. I recently watched the final episode of Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks, and it was excellent. And I'm very sad that the show ended because it is such a wonderful show. I'm excited about the trailers for the next season of Strange New Worlds. And this is maybe an odd one, but a short commute is something that is very exciting.
Oh, wait, a short commute. Didn't you come from an even shorter commute? Because you were at home? So like,
okay, but the reason I worked from home was because I had an hour and a half commute if I wanted to go into the office.
Oh, I see.
And now I have under 20 minutes, which is nice. So
I got you.
Is it
like driving, or is it walking or training? Or?
Walking to a train and then walking from the train to the office.
Okay.
It's so nice. I no longer own a car. It's so nice.
I honestly, most people don't understand this, but I would, in a heartbeat, if I could never drive again and do something like that, with the walking and the training, because I think it's quite magical. So I'm envious of that. It's beautiful.
But the downside is I have all of these hobbies that have very heavy, like large things that I can't move around without a vehicle. So
I just like imagine you on a train with like skis and a bucket of paint and like, you know, just.
Well, when I was living in Boston and I was part of the historical European martial arts community there, I would go on the bus with a giant sword bag. And it was uncomfortably awkward. So
are you allowed to? I guess you did it. You can sword bag on bus. Good to know.
Oh, it's all enclosed. It's not like I'm like, you know, brandishing them in front of people. So
unless something goes down, then you may have to pull it out, right?
That's absolutely
right. Yeah.
Yes.
Defend the people.
I am so grateful for not only taking the time today, but like I said earlier, just what you do for our community and for our framework. She is my love, and that's my hill. I will die on the Angular hill. And thank you again for taking time, especially since it was a holiday weekend. So thank you so much, Jessica.
You're welcome. Live long and prosper, everyone.
Excellent. We'll see you all on the next one. Have a wonderful weekend.